So myself, Shyam. So I have 12 years of experience in this environment, handling macOS and JAMF. I'm an Apple certified support professional, an Apple product professional, and then JAMF 300 certified. So we will quickly go to the session, right? So I 1 minute. Let me share my screen. Let me know once my screen is visible.
You're good, Sean.
Yes, Shyam, it's good.
Okay, so the topic we're going to see about is the file systems, right? So before we start, so what is your idea about file systems? So this session, I like to be a more interactive session, right? So if you have any questions, you can stop me and you can ask me, and if I can able to answer it, I'll answer you guys. If I'm not, then apologies me. I'll just take some time and refer it and then come back to you. Okay. So what is your idea about what is file system on especially on macOS?
It's a hierarchy of storage.
Okay, hierarchy of storage. Anything else? Anyone else? Okay, how many of you here done what is it? Erasing the disk, reinstalling the OS, not specifically on Mac OS, but on the Windows OS, Windows device. How many of you have done that? Completely erasing your Windows OS and installing it again. Anyone done that in your school, college, or in your workplace, or in your personal missions? I think most of you have done it. Yes. Okay. So these are the topic we're going to cover. So we're just going to talk about what is file system and what is mean by file system and storage, and just intro about FileVault. We're not going to deep dive into FileVault, and then what are the permission and sharing we have in macOS, and what are the hidden items we have, and what are the shortcuts option we have, and what are the file archives, how to create file archives, and what are the different type of file archives we have in macOS. Okay, so right. So although when it comes to our personal computers, right? So your speed of your computers have increased 1,000-fold since the first Mac was introduced in 1984, and similarly, but the storage capacity have introduced a million times, right? So if you remember when we used a device, we will have a 4 GB of hard disk, 10 GB of hard disk, right? And sometime at some point we had 40 GB of hard disk. That is a huge thing when before 15 years or 16 years, someone has a 20 GB of hard disk or 40 GB of hard disk. So now the hard disk capacity has increased million times, and then the size of the hard disk is also reduced. You will have a single chip which covers 2 TB of your data, right? So but on the before 10 years or 15 years, your storage it will be huge. You will have a hard disk, you'll have a floppy disk, and then it will be huge in size. Now you have a pen drive which is what is it? It carries it will be smaller than your finger. It carries more than 2 TB of 3 TB of data, right? So that's where the storage and capacity has grown. Sorry. In last 10-15 years, right? In this session, we will examine what are the file system features, what are the file systems we available in macOS, right? So anyone know what is the current file system we use in macOS? What are the file systems?
APFS.
Okay, APF. Great. So anyone know what is the full form of APFS?
Apple file system.
Apple file system.
Yes. Yeah. Before APFS, we know what we used.
macOS.
Yes. Before APFS, we have something called macOS Extend Journal, and before that, we have something called macOS Extend. We will see all about things. So the current file system which we are using is APFS. It was introduced on macOS High Sierra, right? Okay. So before we begin, so you just want to know what is file systems and storage. You want to understand what is storage. We have multiple terms, right? So someone will call us storage, someone will call it as volume, someone will call it as partition, right? So you want to understand what is the difference between storage, partition, and volumes. Anyone know what is meant by storage? What is partitions and what is volumes? Any guesses or any ideas? Anyone? Okay, so storage, your hardware, we'll call it as storage, right? So it may be a spinning disk, or it may be a SSD, or it may be a SOC. So your hardware, it's called as a storage, where you'll be storing some data, right? And then what is called partition is we are applying some what is it, logic, right? So disk must be partitioned, and then we are segregating the borders, boundaries. So that's what we're creating. What is it called as a partition? We're applying some boundaries, right? Okay, so you're creating some partition. Okay, this will be of 50 GB. This will be of 50 GB. In a single storage disk, you're creating, applying boundaries. That's what we call as partition. And then volume format defines how the files and folders are saved to the disk. So we have multiple file formats where we apply to volumes. So one of the file format currently we are using is APFS. So each file format has distinguished capabilities, like it has an additional feature, or it has its own advantage and disadvantages. So we have APFS, we have macOS extend journal, we have NTFS, we have FAT, we have XFAT, and in FAT we have multiple. We have FAT16, FAT32, right? So what logic you're applying to the partition, we call it as volumes. Right, so I think this diagram can able to help you identify it. So you can able to see the outer cylinder, it's a storage, right? So inside the storage, you're applying a partition. That's what this gray, right? You're creating a boundaries, and then inside the boundaries, whatever boundaries you created, you will be creating some volume formats, right? So without proper formatting, your storage technology nothing but ones and zeros, right? So you all know the computer, whatever data you might store in the storage or in the hard disk, at the end of the day, it's going to store in either zeros or ones, right? So you need to apply a proper logic so that your processors or whatever component you have in machine can be able to read those data and can process it and give the output to you, right? So formatting is the process of applying logic to the storage. So and then partition and volumes. So you're applying some logic, right? By partitioning it. So partitions are used to define boundaries. I used to say you will create multiple partitions, okay, 50 GB, 60 GB, 70 GB, or however partition we use. But nowadays we are not creating much of partitions, at least in enterprise level, all in a single disk. But in the back, we will have in your personal machine, you will have C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, and a lot of drives. That's how we create partitions. So once the partitions have established, the system can create usable volumes inside the partition. So once you create the partition, and after in this partition, what file format you're going to see. So maybe example, I'm using the Windows as a reference. In a C drive, you can use NTFS. In the D drive, you can use FAT. In the E drive, you can use XFAT. So there are multiple, what is your requirement, you can use the logics on each partition, and that will convert into a volumes, right? So then you can able to store your data based on, because NTFS has certain principles, right, and certain advantages, and XFAT has certain advantages, FAT has certain advantages. So however you want to use it, whatever you recommend, you can segregate. And similarly, right, so in macOS we have APFS, that is a default partition, but Apple is not limiting you to use only APFS. You can also create one more partition, and you can use macOS extend journal or whatever partition. You can use even XFAT. So only NTFS is not supported on Mac, but you can create XFAT. You can create FAT partitions, but NTFS you can able to read. Suppose you have an NTFS partition and then you mount, right? So in your Mac machine, it can able to read, but you won't able to write it, right? But we have some third-party softwares which is you can use to read and write NTFS partition. Here we will use the word, a terminology called mount, unmount, and edge, because you all understand that macOS is basically on an Unix based off Unix, right? So you will use mount whenever you want to connect a storage unit to mount it, and whenever you want to remove it, you want to unmount it. So we will use this all those terms, mount, unmount, and a lot of terms. We will see all about this in this slide. Okay. So we have multiple partition schemes. So we will see, but anyone know what is the default partition schemes currently we are using? You guys know about macOS Extend Journal, macOS, NTFS, FAT, exFAT, and file system. You know what are the different type of partition schemes we have? And what we are currently using it?
UID.
Currently, we are using it in guide partition table.
Okay, GUID guide partition table, and what is my MBR, master boot record? Any guesses?
Is that where OS can store and keep their record?
Okay, we'll see. So we'll see about partitions. So disk.
Full form of MBR is master.
Sorry, can you please come again?
MBR work
Sorry.
only in Windows.
MBR stand for master.
Okay, MBR is only work on Windows. Yeah, so it is not. Okay, MBR work only on Windows. Okay, we'll see. Okay, so in partition schemes, we already seen, right? Disk must be partitioned in order to define a possible usable space, right? So if you give your say you are buying an hard disk from the external vendors, right? So you cannot directly connect to a machine and you cannot use it, right? But you need to make some partitions. You want to apply some logic, then only you can able to use it. That's what we're saying. The partition is the disk must be partitioned, right? You can create multiple partitions, or you can leave your disk into a single partition, right? But you need to create a partition, and inside partition you can create how many file formats you want to create. So every disk requires at least one partition. It is mandatory. Without partition you cannot use your disk. So every disk requires at least one partition. And macOS supports 3 types of partition. So we have GUID partition table, GPT, we call it as GPT. So that is a default file form partition we have. And then we have something called Apple partition map, and we have master boot record. So we'll see what is each partition we have, right? Okay, so GUID, so default partition scheme used by Intel and M1 based Macs, right? And only partition scheme supported for Intel based Macs to start up using a disk based storage, right? So I need to not for only for Intel based, but also for M1. So I need to update this slide. Our default partition we have in Mac is GUID. It means you can also create a master boot record partition, but if you want to boot, you have a primary boot partition, right? In a Windows term, we call it as a primary boot partition. So that's will boot your Windows OS. Suppose you want to boot your Mac OS from that partition, and that partition need to be a GUID partition table, right? So Mac OS will support only GUID partition table to boot, right? You can create multiple partition. In one partition, you can use GUID partition. Another partition, if you use master boot record, you cannot install Mac OS on the partition where it is applied a logic of master boot record. So you need to use a GUID partition table to install the Mac OS. It means Mac OS can able to boot only from a GUID partition table. And then, so all the current Macs which we are using currently, it is running on GUID partition table. So next one is Apple partition map. So you guys know, right? So now we are in the end of the transition from Intel to M1 chipset or Apple chipset, M1, M2. We have multiple. Similarly, we had a previously, I'm not sure, maybe 13, 14 years, we had another transition which come from PowerPC processors to Intel processors. The PowerPC is a processor of an IBM processor. We call it as PowerPC. So those old Macs use a partition which called Apple partition map. And similarly, so Apple, so whenever you want to boot the older Macs, or that will support only Apple. So this is currently not in use. It's just only for your reference, right? So Intel based Macs or M1 based Macs cannot access this partition, but they can read and write, but they cannot start up. It means they cannot boot from those Apple partition maps. So it is used for the older Mac machines, which we call it as a PowerPC based Macs. So maybe 13, 14 years before we used this partition. And we have something called master boot record. So it is a default partition scheme used by all non-Mac computers, including Windows. So whenever you're getting purchasing any hardware, sorry, any storage from anywhere or anywhere in the vendor, so the default partition scheme on those hard disks is applied as MBR. Right, so that's why I asked you guys whether you have done any installing the OS reinstalling on Windows machine, because you never created a partition on the Windows machine, right? You will just create, what is it, segregate the disk and apply the logic, right? It means C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, and then you will just split it, but you will never create, because the default partition which comes with your hard disk is MBR. Right, but macOS will not support SMDR for booting, but it can able to read and access. Right, it can fully use, or it can able to read and write all those things from the, if it's created on MBR, but the macOS can't be boot. So whatever hard disk you're buying from the vendor, it will be by default it will have MBR. Right. So one quick question: how many partitions you can create? What is the number of partitions you can create? Any idea? Any guesses? At least in Windows machine, how many partitions you have created? You created C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, right? So what is the limit? How many partitions we can create?
Around 4.
We can create 5 and
Four,
multiple
five.
volumes.
Yeah, 4, 5.
4, 5. Yeah, so where it is for, okay, 4, 5, some 4. It's correct, right? So but Windows has some limitation, right? So you can create 4 partition, primary partition, and next rest you can create an extended partition in MBR, but you have some limitations that you cannot, right? So what is it? We have a naming convention. We'll use C drive, D drive, E drive. So what is a letter of alphabets? You can able to create only that, but it is not a limitation of MBR, but it is a limitation set by the Windows device. But actually, you don't need all multiple partitions on a single device. But actually, in MBR, you can create 4 partitions, and GUID you can create up to 128 partitions. Yeah. So the GUID supports
128.
Yeah, 128
GUID
partitions.
GUID in the sense for macOS, only for Apple system, or only it includes GUID?
It's GUID. So macOS is using GUID. In macOS, you can create 128 partition, but GUID supports you to create up to 128 partition. But logically, we will never use that many partitions in our life.
Yeah, for example, just ask for knowledge purpose. I suppose it's a 1 TB. It's a 1 TB means, so we can segregate up to some 12 GB, 12 GB, 12 GB up to 128.
Yes, or even 2 GB, 2 GB, whatever, however you want. But GUID partition supports up to 128 partitions, but MBR supports 4. So rest you need to create as an extended partition, but it has some limitations set by the Windows, right? Even in Windows machine, right? So you can use GUID partition instead of MBR. You can use GUID partition and you can install. So there you can create multiple partitions. Okay. Volume formats. So we seen the partition. Once we created a partition, next we'll be creating a volume format, right? So macOS has a lot of volume formats. First, we have something called macOS standard, and we have macOS extended, macOS extended case sensitive, macOS extended journal, right? We're not going to talk about all those things here. So the one we are talking only about, we're going to deep dive only into APFS, right? But we have multiple partitions, multiple file formats we have in Windows, sorry, in a Mac OS. On a Windows, you have something called NTFS, New Technology File System, and in Mac currently we are using APFS. We called as Apple File System, and we have in APFS we have APFS encrypted. It is nothing but once you enable FileVault, it automatically turn into APFS encrypted. You can use APFS case sensitive and FAT. Mac OS supports FAT, exFAT, and NTFS. So, but NTFS, macOS supports NTFS, but you can able to only read. Suppose you have any pen drive formatted with NTFS, if you want to connect your Mac machine, you can able to read the content, but you won't able to write. So we have some third-party applications available so that you can install it and you can able to read and write. But FAT and exFAT, yeah, so you can able to read and write. So there are some limitations on FAT, right? So FAT16 and FAT32. So you cannot able to copy. I'm not sure we cannot able to copy a file size of more than 4 GB. It will support able to a file size. If the file size is more than 5 GB or 6 GB, a FAT cannot able to support those files. So then why we have exFAT that overcome those limitations. So all the file system, if we see it has some limitation. So then it release a new overcome, and then it has another a new extended technology. So we'll deep dive into APFS. Anyone know what is APFS? What are the advantages of APFS? Why we are using APFS? What are the advantages? Or what do you know about APFS? What do you guys know about APFS? Just guess it. So there's nothing wrong, nothing right. Anything? What do you know about APFS? Drop sliders.
I think encrypted feature added in the APFS.
Okay. Features are added in the APFS. Any guesses?
Large volume partition.
We can create
Large volume partition.
large volume partitions. Okay. Any other guesses? Anyone else?
APFS supports strong encryption mechanism.
Okay. Strong encryption mechanisms.
Snapshots.
Yeah, snapshots. Snapshots, yes. Okay, so macOS Catalina introduced the concept of APFS, so which enables macOS to separate operating system files from user files. So previously on macOS Extend Journal, you have a single partition, Macintosh ST, where all your user data and macOS data are stored in a single partition. Anyone know what is mean by SIP? SIP.
Production.
System integrity production, right? So I guess if I'm not wrong, it was introduced in macOS 10.11, I guess.
macOS El Capitan.
Yeah, El Capitan, it was introduced in macOS 10.11. So you know what SIP does? What is the function of SIP?
It won't allow you to modify the system
files.
Yes, yes. So correct. So there are some certain folders like /system and /sbin. There are some, I don't remember exactly, but there are some 4 folders where your file systems are stored, right? So you won't able to modify, because even though you are a root user, you won't able to modify. You will not have access to edit or delete or modify those folders. So that's what system SIP does, but you need to enable what is it? SIP will be by default enabled. So if you want to disable, you can do it by going to recovery and then terminal, and then you can do it. So that is it was introduced in EL Capitan, and then APFS something is extended version, right? Which comes in advance, which segregates the operating system files from user files. So we will see all those things in the coming slide. So, but the main functionality of APFS is it segregates the operating system files and then user files, right? So you have in your iPad or iOS device, right? So whenever you reset your iPhone, right? So the OS will not get reset. OS will not get erased, right? The OS will be still there. So only your user component will get removed. So whenever you reset and starts again, it again starts from the welcome screen, right? But when you erase your Mac OS previously, so you need to reinstall the OS, correct?
Yep.
Right. So that's what that's how it looks. We'll see how it works and all those things. But that's what the main functionality of APF is. So the volumes are separated. Why we separating user partition and OS partition? It is for security and it's for backup and it's for software update. There are our Mac OS software update is increased. So yeah, if you're not wrong, so we have a lot of challenges in Mac OS software update, but it has. Why we have all those challenges? Because Apple is making a lot of things in their backend to ensure macOS is more secure. That's why we have those challenges. And then it got improved, and then we'll see the software update experience also will get improved in the going future. We'll see all about this, right? So and then APFS supports. I'll tell you it supports some Unicode file name, and then it has a rich metadata, and then it supports POSIX, ACL, and then it supports hard links, soft links, frim links. Anyone know what is mean by hard links, soft links, frim links? Okay,
No idea.
we'll see. Okay,
Is that
we'll see.
is the temporary?
Yeah, we'll see. So I'll cover all those things. We have APFS supports hard links, soft links, and frim links. And then in macOS Catalina, they introduce something called frim link. Right, we'll see what all those things. And then APFS makes copying your files and folders very instantly. Right, so even though if you want to copy huge files or huge folders, the copy will make instantly. It will copy your files and folders. And then APFS containers. So APFS introduced something called containers, right? So in the hard disk, you can create one or more APFS volumes, and then it holds multiple containers. APFS holds multiple containers. We will see what is containers in the next slide, right? And then APFS on macOS Big Sur. What happened on macOS Big Sur, right? So macOS Big Sur introduced the concept of signed system volume. Have anyone know this term SSV? They will call it as SSV. Signed system volume. So this is advanced of what happened on Catalina. Then it came. So in Catalina, they segregated two partitions: user partition and system partition. And then Big Sur, it becomes a signed system volume, right? So it means they introduced something concept called signed system volume. It means your system partition is cryptographically valid. It has a hash, right? So no one can able to modify anything, right? And then the kernel rejects any data in the SSV that doesn't have a valid cryptographic signature from Apple. It makes the Mac OS more secure, right? So this prevention helps. What is it? Whether malicious or unintentional tampering with any code or any part of the macOS system code, the system partition, or any files, and it's not possible, right? And SSV uses a APFS snapshot, which is only read-only copy of base. So we'll see, right? So I'll give you some examples, right? So what is SSV and what is snapshot? Okay, this is how your APFS partition looks. So you have an APFS partition, and APFS partition has the containers. It has multiple containers. You have volume group, and in volume group, what you have your read-only system volume, where your OS are stored. And then we have something called snapshot. It is signed system volume, and we have user data, Macintosh HT data. I think you have seen this name, right? Macintosh HT data, right? But I think you've never seen this signed system volume. And then you have pre-boot recovery VM, and then hidden APFS container called system recovery. Right, so we will see about this. I'll give you some examples, right? Just stop me if you not able to understand or ask me question. When you open disk utility, normally what you will see volumes, right? So I'll do one thing. I'll show all devices. So this is where APFS containers, all right? So APFS container and APFS containers you have in volume groups. You have two volume groups. One is your system partition, another one is data partition. Your system partition is a read-only partition, and data partition is a read and write partition. All right. So other things will not be visible in discretely. I'll show you in terminal. Right. So this is your volume where your data are stored, and this is snapshot. What is snapshot? Why we are using snapshot? Any cases? And then this is your data. Have you seen where the data is mounted? It is staying mounted in system volumes data, right? And snapshot mounted, and you can able to see this is your Macintosh SD. This is your where OS is stored. What it says, it is. Can you able to see my screen?
Yeah,
Yes.
your screen is
What
visible.
it says
Yes,
not
yes.
mounted. It means this partition is not connected. Then how your OS are getting executed? Where your OS is stored, that partition is not mounted. It means it is not connected. It's suppose, right? It has a physical connection, but doesn't have a logical connection. That's what mount and unmount and eject. Eject is something you're removing the device from the hardware. But mount, unmount, it's connected, physically connected, but logically it is not connected. You see, your system volume, APFS system volume, it is not mounted. That means your OS partition is not mounted. It doesn't have any logical connection. Anyone know why? Anyone know then how the OS is running in the background? We'll see in disk utility. Sorry, we'll see it in the terminal. 1 minute. I've noted down some commands. I'll make it full screen. You guys able to see my screen? Make it big.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so this is your hard disk, right? And you can able to see. You have your pre-boot, and you have, I'll tell you what is pre-boot, what is recovery, and all those things, right? So you have your the pre-boot, recovery, VM, right? And you have your data, right? And then you can able to see this is your system, correct? You guys are able to see the screen and whatever it is big or it is visible, or you want me to make it a little more big?
Looks fine.
Right.
Yeah, we can view
Okay,
it.
fine. Okay. So I'll also show you the slides where we talked about, right? What is it? We have in APFS partition, we can create multiple containers, right? And then you have two volume groups. The APFS volume group, we have two volume groups. One is a system volume, another one is our data volume, right? And then the system volume is a read-only partition where your storage, your macOS is stored, and then your data partition is read and write partition where the user data are stored, and then we have pre-boot, and then we have recovery, and then we have VM, and then we have system recovery, right? And then you compare it now with the terminal, and then if you have a Mac device with you now, so you can also run this command. So the command is disk-util APFS list. Where is Give the command. Right. So you can run this command in your device. Okay, it says all this information. What is the size of my hard disk and what is the use space and what is free space, right? And this is my system partition. And this is my data partition. The rest are all minor partition. We have VM, reboot, and recovery. So one thing you guys need to note, my system partition is not mounted. You know what it means? My OS partition where the macOS is installed, that particular partition is not mounted. Right, you can able to see all other partitions are mounted. My data, it is mounted. It means I can able to use it. Right, but my system partition is not mounted. Any guesses?
Might be FileVault encryption.
FileVault encryption, yeah, it says FileVault, it is encrypted, and data also it says, yeah, FileVault, yes, it says unlocked. sorry, you can able to see it says FileVault and it says unlocked because we unlocked it. We logged into the device. If you run those commands from terminal, from the recovery partition, you will get a different. It says locked. FileVault, yes, FileVault is enabled and then it is unlocked because currently we are logged into the machine, working on it. Any other guesses? I know how the macOS is running. Because you understand the logic, right? Where the partition where your OS is running or OS is installed, that partition is not even mounted. Even if we go to disk utility, you can able to see, right? Everything says unmount because it is mounted. But this particular partition says mount. It is not mounted, right? It is not. It doesn't have a logical connection. Okay. So that's what Apple does. That's what Apple tricks, right? Or that's what their technology. That's how they build the macOS, right? Where the macOS is installed, that particular partition Apple will not mount, right? So instead of what they will do is they will create a snapshot of this particular partition. You guys know what is mean by snapshot?
No.
You know what is mean by copying?
Is a clone data like from a one hard drive copy data? It's like an say as a copy data.
Okay, yeah. So I think if you worked in, yeah. So snapshot is nothing by copy, right? So this terminology you will get it whenever okay, you worked in a server. Okay, you take a snapshot of the server, right? You're taking a screenshot, right? On your mobile, what is happening? You're capturing something and storing it. So that's what a snapshot is. So I think you might have worked in a server or worked in a different terminology. You might have come up with the term snapshot. Normally used to okay, take a snapshot of the server or take a snapshot of the VM. It means they will capture a backup of that particular time and then store it, and then later you can able to restore from that. Suppose if something corrupts, normally we will use it in the when we are using a virtual machine or a VM. That's where because you use this term in multiple. Say example, someone has a VM and then they're going to make some changes before what they will say, okay, guys, please take a snapshot, and the VM team will take a snapshot of those particular VM and keep it safe. And then someone will go there and make the changes on the VM. If something goes wrong, they'll say, okay, guys, something goes wrong. You restore it from the snapshot. So they will restore it. Just nothing copying. The terminology might differ, right? So what macOS or what Apple does is they will create a snapshot of this volume, your system volume. It means they are copying and then creating another volume That's what we call it as signed system volume. Right, where here it is. So they'll create a snapshot of it, and that particular snapshot is cryptographically hashed. It means no one can able to modify it and without a particular hash, because every file has a hash allocated to it, and then if that particular file is modified, it needs to have the correct hash. If it doesn't have the correct hash, then it won't match, then you won't able to modify it. So you don't want to deep dive into it, but just remember it is cryptographically hashed. So if you want to modify it, you need to have a correct signature, correct cryptographic hash, right? So that particular snapshot is cryptographically hashed, right? And then they mount that particular snapshot, and then your OS will run from that snap. You can able to see this is your root, and it's mounted in your root. So all other partitions are mounted after this mode, right? You can able to see slash and slash system slash volumes pre-boot. And here also you can able to see slash system slash volumes and data. It means Apple will never touch, never mount the entire OS partition. What they will do, they will copy it, their OS partition. They will, what is it, mirror it, copy it, create a snapshot, and that particular snapshot they will cryptographically hash, and that particular snapshot is mounted, and then your OS is running from that partition.
Hi.
Yeah.
Suppose our OS will be corrupted, right? So how we can restore from this?
See, that's what Apple does. Suppose you're doing a software updates. If something corrupts, what Apple in the backend it will do, it will remove this partition, create another snapshot, and give it to you. You won't notice that.
Shyam, I think the question is like, what happens if suppose it gets corrupted? Can we access that snapshot and restore it?
No, see, snapshot. It is you won't have any access to the snapshot. Only the Apple processes can able to modify anything on the snapshot. Say example, you're doing some software updates. In the mid, your power is gone, right? And then it is only half is completed. So what Apple will do is, it means this particular snap, you see, and then when you're doing a software update, you're doing directly from previously, you remember we have caching server. I don't know how many of you used caching server. We will download all the software updates, keep it in the caching server, and then all our Mac machines are redirected to those particular caching server instead of Apple servers, right? And also you can download, if you go to Apple and security updates, you can download the package. You have something called update, combo update. You can, right? So you can manually install those updates on all the devices, and then you can upgrade. Say example, I've done a lot of times. I think people who are older in the system, maybe 5 years, 6 years before, you can download the combo update. You can download the updates. Say example, you have 10.14. I'm just giving you an example, right? 10.14.1, and then you want to upgrade to 10.14.2. You can directly go to Apple site, download a package, copy, install the machine, and it automatically upgrade 10.14.2. But now nothing is possible. If you want to, you don't have caching server, we don't have any packages. If you want to upgrade, you need to contact an Apple server, and Apple server will push you, Apple software update server will push you on updates. Why all those things changed? Because of this SSV. Because manually you cannot do anything. Manually we cannot update the machine, right? So you cannot upgrade from any third party, because caching server or packages cannot do. Only the device need to contact to an Apple server, get the update. Because why? Because Apple servers will have the correct hash for the particular OS or the particular system. It has the correct hash. Then it will match and it will upgrade. Example, if this during an upgrade, right? So this snapshot is corrupted. You won't even notice. Right? You won't even notice what Apple do, because nothing. It just a, what is it? Your original is here. Right? Your original partition is here. It's just a copy. So if this is corrupted, you can always restore from your original, but you won't be able to do it manually. You will not have any option to do it. The Apple process, your system processes, which is running in the background during the software updates and everything, they will do it. But we cannot do it. We cannot able to see it, what's happening and how it's happening. We will not have access. Am I clear, or do you still have questions? Please let me know.
The same way catching server also working, right?
Sorry?
The same way catching server also working. So what you have
No.
said.
See, catch a server, what you will do is in software update, you create a server, right? And then you will enable, you have macOS server, right? Or you have something called, if I'm not wrong, Rosetta, I guess, right? So you have multiple servers. One, you can create a macOS servers and enable software updates, or you can create a web server with Rosetta and download all the software updates. And then you create a configuration profile and push it to all the Mac machines. Say from now on, you need to reach out to this particular service. Why we are doing this? To reduce the bandwidth. Right, because Apple updates will be huge. So you have 1,000 machines, right? If all 1,000 machines getting 100, 2 GB or 3 GB from internet, it creates a lot of data. That's why we've gone for a caching server, right? So you can be able to do it, all those things. But now what happened is, because of this SSV, it means your partition is cryptographically hashed. Say example, you have a notebook. Okay, consider Bharani, you have a notebook, right? And then you have some a password to it. If you want to modify it, you need to enter the password. So I think everyone have notes, right? So if you are using notes, what we'll do is with some notes, we will lock it with the password. So if you want to modify it, you need to know the password. You want to unlock it, then modify it. Right? Suppose if you don't know the password, you've given the notes to me, I don't know the password. Can I able to modify it? No. I don't know the password, right? So that's what this SSV does. So your entire partition, what it will do is Apple will create a copy of this partition, and then they will cryptographically hash. So no one can able to modify this partition. No one can able to do anything. And then your original partition is not even mounted.
That remains same.
That remains same. Even you will not have access to mount it, right? So you go to disk utility. You see, even though you will not have option to mount it, so it will give you an error, right? Okay. There we are. Okay, so that's what the snapshot does. Why we creating multi? So right. So why we done this? Why Apple is doing this? To enhance the security and then to make the OS more reliable. Right, and then to make the software updates more easy and to make the Mac OS more reliable. So even though if something gets corrupted, something goes wrong, so always Apple will create a new snapshot of it and then they will replace it, because your original is untouched. No one can able to modify. So whenever they need, they will restore it from the original. But as a system admin or as a user, you cannot do it. So all the macOS system background process or the process which is responsible for doing it will do it, but we will not even come to know whether it is okay, something corrupted, it is replaced, we will come to know.
Yes, that is what one of our team member asked that. So if in case macOS got corrupted, whether it is take this macOS from the existing snapshot, correct?
Yeah, so it will happen, but we will not able to do it. Say something, okay, okay, now I know macOS corrupted. If I want to restore it from the snapshot, or if I want to restore it from the original, I cannot do that manually.
From the backend process will happen to the existing one.
Yeah. Sorry, something. Okay. Any questions on this? So that's why, what is it? Apple removed all the other options, because previously we have multiple options to software updates. We have caching server, and then so suppose people who was more than 5 years or 6 years on using a macOS, they know we can download a combo update, a package PKG file, and then download and install in the machine. It will install. So we used to push those packages using YAML to all the other machine for software updates. We have done, but now we don't have any options, right? So the only option, yes, the machine needs to connect to an Apple software update server and install, because we don't have the password. To do that, only Apple has the password. It means it is a simple term because it is cryptographically hashed. If you want to make some modification on this particular partition, we cannot do because we don't have the hash, or any other third party doesn't have the hash. Only Apple has the hash, and only they can able to do it. So that's why we have a lot of challenges in doing software updates. But right, that is a reason we have multiple rights. Machine is not able to restart, and we have software. We have multiple pains in software updates. I guess people know who are working, taking care of the environment, right? So you are using third-party software like Nudge, Software Update, Superman, and all those things, because we don't have any option now. The only option is the device need to contact Apple server and restart. So hope with macOS Sonoma and then declarative device management, we hope that the experience of software update will get more and more. Okay, I'll show you another thing. So we have something called applications, right? And then if you see an app, I will drag and drop App Store.
In it,
Sorry. Sorry, someone said something.
Something, but it's not. Why is it video?
My screen is not visible.
I can view your screen.
Okay. Okay, so can you able to see in if you open the Finder, you can able to see all those files are in the application folder, right? All those apps. App Store, it is an application. Adobe is an application. Books, all those applications which are getting installed, it is getting stored on the applications folder, right? Unless and until you make those changes, okay, I want to install in a different folder, or the created, and otherwise all the macOS application which you're installing, it will get stored in applications folder, right? But if you see the path, the App Store is getting stored in System, Applications, App Store, right? But the Adobe, it is getting stored in Applications, Adobe, and Acrobat DC. You know what? It is a difference, or it is right, or it is a different path or different folder. The top one and bottom one are in two different folders or in the same folder.
The system file.
Yeah, it's a system file. So my question is, are they in the two different folder, or are they in the same folder?
Same folder in applications.
Two different folder.
That's right.
Two different folder, right? But what happened when you come to application? I don't have two different folder, right?
App Store is an inbuilt application.
Yeah, you guys told it's a two different folder, but when I go to computer, I'll give you, right? I'll show you, right? Macintosh ST. I'm going to applications. You can able to see all those things.
Because it is
App Store is also there.
software, huh? That is why.
Yeah, you're correct, but you guys are told it is two different folders, right? App Store is stored in a different folder and Adobe is stored in a different folder, right? But it is all visible in the Finder. It is all visible. Okay, I'm going to computer. I'm going to click on Windows HD. I'm going to click on applications. Here, I can able to see both those in the same folder. It is not a shortcut, right? So this is not a shortcut, right?
Maybe the system application folder is by default installed by the Apple. And the
Yeah,
applications.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So all the system files are default installed in system applications. So my question is, then how it is visible in the Finder in the same folder? So actually, then it should not be visible, right? Am I right? So this particular file should not be visible here.
Right.
How you are able to see this file? So this is the path. You're absolutely correct. So these are the system files. This comes with a macOS. So it got installed in system applications. So it's installed in different folder. But how it is visible here? Suppose you
default
that is it is comes with Mac OS, I guess.
It comes with Mac OS.
System / application which comes with the Mac OS.
Okay, I'll give you. Yeah, you're absolutely correct, right? So these are all system files. It comes with a Mac OS, right? And these are all third-party applications, right? But my question is how? So it is installed in different folder and it is installed in different folder. But when I open the folder, I can able to see everything in the same folder. For a normal end user.
This is only user application that is in a system.
Okay, so now, okay, so consider you have two files, file A and file B. Okay, and you're creating two folders. What you're doing is you are storing file A on the folder A, and then you're storing the file B on the folder B. If I open folder A, what are you able to see? What files are you able to see?
File A only.
File A. So will I able to see file B?
In folder B?
Yeah. Will I be able to see the file B? Yes, no, any guesses?
In folder A? No.
Yeah, folder A.
No.
No.
Not available, no?
Okay. We'll do this example. Okay. I'll create two folders. I'm saying folder A. I'm creating something is folder B. Right? I'll create a text edit and say file A. I'm going to save it. File A. Right? And I'm going to do the same thing. Folder B. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rename it file B. Open it, change it to file B, and okay, I did something. Save as, where is saves? I don't have save as. Save. Columns. Okay, now I have folder A, folder B, and I have file A, file B, right? And the content inside is on file A, it says file A, and it says file B. I created two folders, two different files, but if I open folder A, I'm not able to see file B, right?
Right.
And how to consider your apps, which is installed by default on macOS or file A, and all the third-party applications are file B, how this file A and file B are visible on the same folder? So what option you have to do that?
Maybe it is shortcut.
Shortcut, correct, excellent. What I can do, I can create a shortcut of this particular file, right? And then place in folder B, right? I can create a shortcut of file simultaneously. So now I open a folder A. Now I can able to two files. One is file A, another one is file B, right? But file B will be a shortcut, right? Correct?
Yes.
But you will able to see a difference between two files, right? Visual clue that, okay, so this is a shortcut, correct? So it will have some different options. When you create, okay, let me create allies. Okay, so you can able to see, a small arrow mark.
Yeah.
It shows, okay, it shows, okay, this is a shortcut, correct? So you're absolutely correct, right? The only way to do is to create a shortcut, but all right. So you want to create a shortcut and you want to place those both the files. So whenever I open folder A, I can able to see other files, file B also, but the file B is shortcut. But the one disadvantage is it is different. It is distinguished between two files, right? But in this, yes, they created a shortcut to place this app store in this folder. Okay, I'll give you, if you go to system applications, you're not able to see all your third-party applications. You're able to see Adobe, you're able to see other application. In system applications, no, because this file is stored in your system and it has only your Apple application. So they have created a shortcut of this app store and they kept it there. But that shortcut, we'll not call it as a shortcut, we'll call it as a from link.
Okay.
Right? So we'll call it as a from link. We will see what is from link, but you guys need to understand that yes, it is a shortcut, but it won't show us a shortcut. We call it as a from link. Yeah, just understand the terminology. It is not a shortcut, right? In macOS, we'll not call it as shortcuts, and it doesn't look like a shortcut. So Apple introduced something, a new concept called from link to do all those things. Okay, right? Any questions till now?
It is only with
So
the app store you have stated a film link. So along with, is there any other applications there?
Yeah, Apple is using FrimLink in a lot of other places.
Any example you can look?
Any example you can look? Yeah, any example I'll show you. I'll show you the example. What is this? Macintosh HT, right? Macintosh HT info. So this is your data. System volumes data. So we told your data partition is a different partition, right?
Right.
Right. Your data partition is a different partition, correct?
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
But where it is mounted, where it is stored. It is getting stored in your system. But if it is a different partition, then how it is getting stored in your system? So this is another example where Apple uses FrimLink. So you can able to go back and forth, right? This is a new concept Apple created. It is similar to shortcuts. How we are creating a shortcuts on a Windows, how we are creating shortcuts on a Mac. Similarly, Apple is creating a shortcut, and they're not calling it a shortcut, and they're calling it as FrimLink. One catch here is all other shortcuts you can create, but this FrimLinks only Apple. It means only what is it? Apple can do that. You cannot create those FrimLinks manually, right? So if I want to create a shortcut, I can create any files. I can make a shortcut. I can do. Right, so we have multiple shortcuts option. We call it as symlink, we call it as hard link, we call it as aliases. These are the shortcuts we have. All of the shortcuts as an end users you can create, but there's something called FrimLink only Apple can create. Right, so again this data, the different partition, but they create a shortcut and pasted in system volumes. This is how the Apple has created FrimLinks. Right, so they will do all those things. They created a concept called FrimLink and they're doing it, but only Apple, it means only macOS system processors can do those, create a FrimLink and modify the FrimLink. We will not have access, end users or an admin or a root will not have access to create those.
So it is only Ventura or Sonoma or older than Mac? Older Mac
it
also.
Is APFS, I told you, right? So APFS was introduced in macOS Catalina. And starting from macOS Big Sur, we have those SSV. So it means from Big Sur till now, this is the technology Apple is using. Even in Sonoma, even in Ventura, starting from macOS Big Sur. And if I'm not wrong, Big Sur is 12 or 13.
11.
Okay, 11. So after Big Sur, we have Monterey, right? Not Monterey. What we have? What is after Big Sur?
Monterey.
Okay, yeah. So after Big Sur, from Big Sur, we have this concept, and it is same in Monterey, same in Ventura, and same in Sonoma. So that's why we have, right? So two different partitions, but if you go here on a computer, you won't able to see two different partitions, right? It's all single folder. End users will not know all those things. Your system, it is a different partition, but on a GUI, you won't even able to notice it. You suppose you're creating two different partitions in a Windows machine. You have C drive, you have D drive. The C drive files will be stored in a C drive and D drive files will be stored in D drive. Right? So you want similar concept. Apple is doing it, but they are using something called FrimLink. It is shortcuts, the same principle of shortcuts. Apple is calling it as a FrimLink, right? To make it is available, it is visible in a single GUI window for you to make look like a single partition, but it is not a single partition. So they're using the shortcuts and they're naming it as FrimLink, and only they can able to create FrimLink or modify FrimLink. We cannot do that. Right, so you see in disk utility you have two partition, volumes and data, but in GUI you don't have two partition. Where your data is located, you need to go to system, you need to go to volumes, right? And this is where the Macintosh HT is there. Even your Macintosh HT, it is stored inside your system partition, your read-only partition. But you can able to read and write because it is a from link. Any questions? Please let me know. But
what is hard link and soft?
Hard link and soft link we will cover. It is simple shortcuts, right? How we are creating shortcuts on the Windows machine. We will create a shortcut on the Mac machine, right? So as the Mac OS is based on Unix, so there are two methods. We call it as hard link, we call it as soft link as a shortcut. And then the Mac OS method creating a shortcut we call it alias. How will you create a shortcut on a Windows machine? You right click something and click create shortcut. Similarly, we have make alias. It is how we're creating in a GUI, but hard link and soft link, it is as you can also use command line. Your macOS is base is Unix. So hard link and soft link is the Unix way of creating a shortcut. It has slight difference. I'll explain you in the coming slide, but everything is shortcuts. But all those shortcuts you can create. You can create hard link, you can create soft link, you can create alias. But this is also short link, right? Your data partition, as we see, your data has a different partition, but here, if you go to, it doesn't look a different partition. I'll show you. Wait. Right.
One more question.
Yeah.
Sorry. Actually, do you have any document, anything to refer related to hard link and soft link? Because
hard link and soft link, normally hard link, your time machine will use hard link. Right. I don't have any documents, but you can.
I have heard about this on an interview, because that time that the interviewer told me that it will use on the server side only, some Linux server side. So that is the
yeah. See, that's why I told you, right? Hard link and soft link is Unix terminology, the Unix method of creating a shortcuts. So I'm not sure what are the different options they're using on the Unix. As your Mac OS is based out of Unix, we can also create hard link. We can also create short link, right? And aliases is something similar to your shortcuts, how you're creating on a Windows. You'll right click, create a GUI, because your Mac OS is also GUI. You cannot create hard link and soft link as a GUI, but alias you can create as a GUI.
Okay.
That's what the difference is. So there is slight difference between hard link and soft link, right? I will cover you when we're creating about shortcuts.
Sure.
Right. So when I go to MacIntosh, it says application library system users. OK, but I want to go to my data partition, where my data partition is located. It is in system, volumes, Macintosh HT. You can be able to see a difference between this Macintosh HT and this Macintosh HT. Both are Macintosh HT, right? Am I right? But this is Macintosh HT data partition, and this is your system partition. Both are Macintosh HT. You can able to see here you have application, library, system users. Here you have applications. You can able to see you have only your application which is installed by you, not the system applications. Right? In library, it is okay. Users, user folder, and system, you doesn't have anything. Just have a couple of things. This is all your system. This is your system partition, and this is your data partition, right? But all look same. All names look same, but it is a from link. So now when I go to users, sorry. If I go to users, I will see the same users here. But it is a different folder. It is a different folder, right? On a GUI, it looks like a different, but it's all same folder. But it is a shortcuts. The shortcuts terminology we use in a Mac used for this called as a from link, and only Apple can do that. Right? So why we are doing all those things is the end users, as an end user experience, they doesn't no need to know, okay, we have two different partition or multiple partition. At the end of the day, no one notice where your system OS is located, where your OS file is located, unless and until all their applications are working fine. The end user doesn't need to know all those things, but as an admin, you guys need to know. Right? For the end users, they don't need to know, okay, all looks. So this is customizable for end users, right? That's why they make it all those shortcuts and all those things, because they don't want to break the file, how the end users using it for last 15-20 years. Like if they create two different partition, it will be difficult for them. So that's why Apple make all those things and looks like all in a single partition, but at the end, logically, it has a different partition. And one partition is, you want to understand that one partition where your OS is installed, it is not even mounted, and it creates a snapshot, and they call it as a single signed system value. Only that partition is mounted, and your OS is running from that partition, and you have another partition called data. Clear?
Yes.
So this what APFS does. This what APFS advantages of APFS. You can create multiple group containers inside a single volume. In macOS extended, you cannot create those. Right? Suppose there you have two different partition here. Logically, you have Macintosh HD data, you have Macintosh HD, you have signed system volume, but all looks in a single group. But if it is in a macOS extend journal, we need to have created 3-4 partition. It will be visible to the end users. Right? It is not possible. That's why Apple introduced something called APFS. And APFS has those advantage. You can create multiple groups inside a single volume group. You can create multiple, what is that? It is created of how you're creating a virtual machine. Right? In a single machine, you're creating multiple virtual machines. It is similar concept. In a single partition, in a single volume, not a partition, in a single volume, they are creating multiple volumes. And then they are binding it together with a Frimlink and making all those things, and also to make it more secure, more reliable, and more user friendly. This is what an advantage of APFS, Apple File System. So the same concept, it is applicable to your handheld devices, iOS, iPadOS, right? So it is already available in iOS and iPadOS, and APFS comes from your, what is it? From iOS and iPadOS, it comes to your, so previously we don't have those iPadOS, they were inserted recently, but it comes from your iOS to your macOS. APFS was available in your handheld, now it has come back to your Mac. Right, so we will see what is, as we already see it, right? So in system volume, you have your OS partition, and signed system volume where you have your, it takes a snapshot, and that particular snapshot is hashed, and that is mounted, and OS is booting from there, and your data where all your user data get stored, right? And pre-boot. So it is a hidden partition you won't able to see even in GUI in discretely, but in terminal you can able to see. You have something called pre-boot. So what it contains is, it contains the data needed for booting each of the system volumes in the container. Call it as a metadata, right? Data about, okay, what is there in which partition, what is the disk ID, what is the snapshot ID, all those information are get stored in a pre-boot, which helps the macOS to boot, right? And then
the bootloader.
We have something. Sorry.
It's a bootloader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Correct. So, and then other partition we have is recovery. You all know what is recovery, right? So your recovery partition where something goes wrong, you boot into recovery, and then you will install the OS And you can have a lot of admin tools. You want to erase the disk, you will performing all those things on your recovery. And VM, it is something called virtual memory. You can able to see it will be very less, right? 20.5 KB. So I even tried why Apple is using it. I'm not able to get those exactly why they are using it, right? So I'll let you know once I found, or if you guys know, please let me know, right? But it is very small memory, but it will get created only the macOS starts. Before the macOS starts, this partition will not get created, right? And we have something called system recovery. So this system recovery will be available only on M1. It means Apple Silicon. It won't be available on the Intel machines. Now we don't have any Intel machines anymore, because this system recovery will be available only on M1. And it contains a minimal Mac OS environment so that you can reinstall Mac OS and recovery OS. So something we call it as internet recovery. Right, so when you don't have a recovery partition, you'll boot into internet recovery and you'll perform it. So that's what a system recovery does for Silicon, Apple Silicon chipset. Right, so this what APFS does. And when you see APFS compatibility, APFS is not compatible with APF, right? So APF is nothing but a protocol we use to sharing the files. So whenever I think you remember the old, very old Apple admins, whenever you want to share, we'll use something called AFP, and then we'll use the share port, which is available on a Mac machine. APF is not compatible with that. Now, whenever you want to share, so normally what you have to do, we'll use to do whenever you want to share the files which is in Mac machine, we'll use AFP and then give the path. And then whenever it's in Windows machine, we'll use SMB and give the path. But nowadays APFS is not compatible with AFP. So both you want to use SMB, server message block, the protocol to share the files. And Mac OS extended volume. If you have a Mac OS extended volume, you can able to read and write from APFS volume. Say I have another Mac machine or another hard disk which is formatted at macOS extended volume. It is fully compatible. You can able to read, you can able to write whatever contents you have in macOS extended volume. And APFS volumes can be read and write to other APFS and macOS extended if using high Sierra. Right, and NTFS it won't support. You can only read. Right, NTFS, even not many APIs, the entire macOS will not support. All the file formats will not support. Right, we can read the content you have in NTFS partition, but you cannot write. But there are a lot of third-party tools available in the market to do all those things. Right, that's what APFS. That's how the APFS differ from your macOS extend journal, and those are the advantages of APFS. And that's how your entire software update experience got changed in the last 2-3 variants of macOS. Previously, it was very easy, but now it is we don't have any control because of all those changes happened on APFS. Why all those changes happened? To make sure macOS is more reliable, more faster, more secure. Right, and that's why you can see there's something they introduced something called erase and reset. So if you previously, right, so as a Mac admin, we will do we have gone to a lot of struggle whenever we want to erase suppose example, when users leaving the organization, we will get the Mac machine, we will format it, and then we'll need to reinstall the OS. Previously, we have CDs and DVDs, right? And starting from line, we don't, again, Apple stopped it. Then we need to connect to internet because an enterprise setup. Sometimes internet, what is it? Your recovery will not boot, or you won't have challenges. We want to ask our network admins to, okay, boy, please open the port or give me internet access. We have a lot of challenges in reinstalling the OS, or we will create a bootable pen drive and reinstall. But now all makes lives easy. right? Whenever you want to reset, how you're resetting your iPhone and iPad, you can go to system settings, erase all contents and reset. Do it only your system data, sorry, your user data will get wiped. It means why it is happening because your user data is stored in a different partition. Apple will not touch your OS partition and they will wipe. That's all. It's ready to given back to another user or reset. Let's make life very simple. So how it is possible? Why this reset option is available only in last two variation because of APFS and because of sign system volume. So everything has some reason. These are the changes happening in the background, right? You guys need to know why. Okay, why suddenly Apple introduced erase and reset? Why it was not there in previous version of OS? Right. So these are the advantages of APFS. Any questions on this? I think we have a lot of things, but before we jump to another topic, any questions? Any questions? Anything you want to add?
We have questions, but okay, we can go. We can go to the next slide.
No, you can ask. That's why we are here, right? So
That is what I'm thinking. That is what I'm thinking of.
You can ask. Ask me.
No, I'm just thinking of where. So you just go. I'll ask. I'll end up the time.
Okay. So second topic is mount, unmount, and eject. Right. We already seen this. In a Mac, as a based on Unix, so you need to mount, unmount, and eject. Mounting a volume is a processor, but it's simple. I'll tell you. I don't want to go all through this. Mount, unmount, and eject. Right. So when in the Mac, what happens in your Windows machine? Whenever you connect the pen drive, it will automatically shows the pen drive content. And then what is the content in the pen drive action hard disk? You can do all those things. In macOS also it is same, but it is what is happening in the background is it is auto mounting, right? In a Unix, when you connect, and then similarly, if you want to remove the pen drive, what you will do? Right? Suppose okay, I don't want to see those content anymore. Then what you will do? You will completely physically remove your external hard disk or pen drive from the device, right? That is called eject. And something we have unmount. It means we have already seen this. It means mount. Whenever you connect, you need to do a logical connection, right? So then you can able to see the data. That's what we call mount. And eject, completely removing the physical connection. Your hard disk is completely physically removed from your device. And unmount is you have a physical connection, but only the logical connection is removed. That's what we see here. The physical connection is there, but the logical connection is not there. That's what we seen in the system partition. That's what the unmount is. So there are multiple ways to mount, unmount, right? You can drag. Okay, let me see. I have any DMG. I can show you. Okay, I have this Jamf Connect DMG. Right, I'm mounting it. You can see once I done, it is mounted. Okay, this is called mount. And if you go to disk utility, you can able to see this information in disk utility. You can able to see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmount. What happened?
It's not
so
showing up.
I won't able to see the Jamf connect anywhere, but right, I cannot able to see it in the sidebar. It means right, it is unmounted, but still it has a lot of physical connection. It is not completely removed. What am I do? I can mount again. Visible. And then what is, let me see, I can do. What is this eject? What happened when I eject? What happens? In disk utility, I'm not able to see this. It means the physical connection is also removed. So I'm just showing you virtually, right? That's what a difference between unmount and eject. There are multiple ways you can drag and whenever you mount, you can able to see a small, say example. Whenever you mount, you can able to see those in the desktop. Don't think so. So you can drag and drop. You can able to see it automatically change just to bin, automatically changes to eject. So I can do this way. What is it? You can right click eject in Finder, select eject, or you can press your option key and eject. These are the multiple ways, or you can go to disk utility and eject it. These are the multiple ways to eject. So when using the Finder, remounting volumes on a connected disk is a bit of hassle because you cannot remount. So only you go to disk utility and do all the, but end users will not even notice all those things. So again, unmount, it will remove only the logical connection, physical connection will be still there, but eject will remove both logical connection and physical connection. And inspect file system, I guess you all know. So you can go to disk utility, you can inspect your files, you can see the information about the file. Anyone here, have you done first aid?
Yes.
Anyone here? Good. Anyone here? Have you done the first aid of permissions?
Read, write, executing.
Yeah. So whenever you run a first aid, okay, that give me one because I'm currently on those partition. Okay, so when you run the first aid, again, the first aid will check for any errors, and then it will automatically repair. I think if you are new to the macOS, I think you won't understand the terminology which I'm telling. We have something called, okay, again, first aid you can able to run from disk utility. So whenever you run a first aid, if there is any errors, the error will point out in a red color. So if it is able to repair, it will repair. Then if something comes in red, so it means it is not able to repair, and we will see those error code and we will replace the hard disk. And we have something called permission. I'm not sure, verify permission, repair permission. When you run the first aid on the older Mac machines, I'm not sure anyone have done seen those concepts, seen that we have something called now we have only repaired verified disk and repair disk. Whenever you run a first aid, previously we have additional option called verify disk permission and repair disk permission. Anyone have seen that? You should be, what is it? If you guys are new to the MacAdmin, last 3-4 years, you might have not seen it because Apple completely removed those. But someone who's older, 8 years, 9 years, anyone seen those options? So what that will do is, by default, Apple, each files in your machine will have some permissions. Right, each files, each folder will have some default permission set by Apple. Suppose if something goes wrong, right, you won't be able to change. Suppose you changed your folder of your home folder, right? You can go and repair your permission and repair it so that it will come to a default permissions. We will do the troubleshooting whenever we have some issues, right? So that's we'll do. But now Apple have completely stopped after, if I'm not wrong, after APFS. Sorry, after the introduction of SIP, EL 10.11. So that is Apple removed it because you don't need to, because you don't have access to change the permission of your entire system folders. So you don't need those options. So Apple have removed it. I think after the introduction of SIP, the option to repair permission and verify permission is completely removed because you don't need it, because SIP will prevent you from changing, modifying any system files. Then there is no chance of your permissionless system file permissions getting modified. Then you don't need to repair it and don't need to verify it. That's why they removed it.
If we will disable
Similarly, we
SIP,
have,
so we can see it.
yeah, so if you disable it, yeah. But nowadays you don't have those options because you don't need to, because you don't have an option to edit your system partition, and you don't need to repair those. There is no chance of those permissions getting modified. Right, so you can run a first aid from discrete lead. You can run a first aid. You can erase your disk. You can create multiple partitions, or you can restore. Now you have there are a lot of ways to restore. Apple configurator you have, and you have DFU to restore all those things. As I said, first state. So whenever if there is any problem, it will appear in a bright red color, and then if it's possible to repair, you can repair it, and otherwise it will say the disk is not able to repair. So nowadays we will not get those issues because previously in the Mac machine we'll have a spinning HT hard disk. Now we have SSD, so you will not get those issues very frequently. But previously we have hard disk, a spinning disk, hard disk. So we had a lot of issues. We will do for frequently. We will do those repair and verify and all those things. The first step to check whether a device is working fine or not. And security options. One quick question. So, will you able to completely erase the data from your disk? Any data will you able to erase?
No.
You have, sorry?
I guess it is no.
Why? Why no?
Not sure. I have attended one workshop in Apple. Let me think of actually. It remains same. Yes.
Yes. So once the data is written on your disk, we don't have a terminology called erase. Right? Technically, you cannot able to erase anything. You cannot able to erase anything. Once it is written, it is written. There is no technically, there is no feasible, there is no even option till now to erase any data. Then what we are doing, how we are removing the machine, how we are removing the data, we are just overwriting it. Yes. Right. Yeah, so when you have a hard disk, you have two different partition, sorry, two different logic or two different database where, for example, you have one data and then you have something called address. It will store, okay, data is stored in this block. Right, so you have a contacts. Right, so similarly a database, your storage will have a database. It say, okay, this particular file A, it is going to store in this row in this column. Right, and file B is getting stored in this. It will maintain a database. So whenever you are searching for a file A, whenever you're opening a file A, it will go and check the address. Okay, it is here. So it will go to the particular address and retrieve the data to you. So what happened when you're erasing a disk? You are not erasing a data, you're erasing a database. So what your partition or your OS will think, okay, now I don't have any address stored in my database. It means all the address is empty. All the fields are not written anything. It's all empty. Now I can go and write it again. So it will overwrite. That's what it is fastest. So whenever you're doing it, you're just not erasing a data. So even we don't have any terminology. There is no possibility to erase the data. Once it is written, it is written. So when you're normally when you're erasing something, what is happening? You're just removing a database, but the data are still there. That's why you can able to recover it using some third-party softwares. Right, and single pass erase. So this is nothing called securely erasing a device. Suppose you have some important content which you want to erase, right? So how you can erase it securely without the possibility, without no one can able to restore the data. So that's what we call single pass erase. What it will do, it will go and write zeros all over the data once, and 3-pass erase, it will go write 2 passes of random data. It means 2 times it will go and write the random data on top of it, and one time it will go and write known data. In 3 times it will overwrite, and we have something called 7-pass arrays. This is the most secure option. It means it will overwrite 7 times on top of your data. Say you return, just take a note, pen, pencil, write something on top of it, write 7 times, you write something else. You won't be able to find what you write on the first time. That's what it does. We are just overwriting everything. On top of it, on top of it, on top of it, we are overwriting. So it is not even possible to know what is written in the top. That's what we're calling it erase. But there is no option to erase any data in the digital world. Once it is written, it is written. Again, partition, you all know how to create a partition from discretely. You can click, okay, you can just select a circle, rule, and select the size. You can create the partition. I think we are running out of time, so I don't want to start the FileVault now. Any questions till now? We will continue the same topic in some other time.
That is great.
Till now, any questions? Any questions? Please let me know. If I'm able to answer, I'll answer it to you guys. Otherwise, I'll go and try to get the answers for you.
The thing is that soft link and hard link. So that what I'm asking is, you have any documentation? Because I have attended this.
I don't have any documentation, but I just have only the command to create. So, but normally hard links is used in your time machine. And soft links, we call it a symbolic link, right? macOS will use soft links a lot. A lot of places. What is this? This is symbolic link. It's all or sure exactly. These are all symbolic links. This is a symbolic link. macOS will use symbolic link a lot of places, right? Symbolic link is nothing. It is a shortcut. Just the Unix way of creating a shortcut.
Okay.
Nothing big concept on symbolic link. Again, it is a shortcut.
Yes, actually, in one interview, asked me about this question. Actually, I'm unable to answer it.
Again, this is a shortcut. Symbolic link, again, it is a shortcut. macOS uses in various possible, even your JAMF use symbolic link. Wherever the stores binaries, they'll have multiple ways, but again, it is a shortcut. It is nothing big, but it is what is it? It is not a macOS GUI way. You cannot able to create a GUI. You need to use commands to create those shortcuts. Right? Any questions?
Then everything is done actually.
Anyone else have any questions?
Actually, no question, but thanks for taking your time in a weekend and helping us to understand file system. And thanks for Karthikeyan for organizing this.
Yeah. Hope we will have a lot of more sessions similar to this in the future. So we'll all share our knowledges, and then as a community we can grow.
Yeah, sure. Actually, just now Karthik called me some 10 minutes before, so 15 minutes before. He has went out some emergency. So you asked
yeah, no issues. Right, so I'm not able to complete the entire file systems, right? We have still a few more topics, right? So totally we have still a few more topics. So I have few other sessions also planned similar to this, right? So I'll soon let you know the timelines, and then you can also post You can also, I think if you all are in Telegram channel or whatever ways, we have multiple ways of communication. You can also give us a suggestion when you guys want to conduct this training, either in the weekdays or a week time, weekends, or in the morning. What feasible for you guys, and based on a majority, we will choose, right? And then what are the other few sessions you are experting, so that if possible we can see, okay, I want this particular training. If you can let us know, if possible, we can arrange it, right? But I'm not planning to cover more and more on macOS first, then go to JAMF, right? I don't want to. I have a lot of other topics to cover on a macOS first, because I'll be covering it on the macOS first. Then you have a lot of people's expertise on JAMF, and they can help you on covering on JAMF. But I feel this is a very basic, right? So you guys, if you understand it better, then your JAMF, whatever you guys are doing it on a JAMF, at the end, you're going to do it on replicate on a macOS. So you guys need to have a sound understanding of basics of macOS. Right. So if you have any questions, you can let me know. So I'll be available in this call for another 5 minutes. So thanks all for joining on the weekend. So I will let you know. So if you have any suggestions, right, please let us know. Or if you have any inputs for us, how we can improve it, or you have any suggestions, please let us know on whatever possible ways. You have Telegram, we have WhatsApp channel, you can just hope everyone is there and have available channels. You can just post us, can provide your suggestions, provide your questions, queries, whatever is possible. Right, I'll be available in this call for another 5 minutes. If anyone have any questions, you can let me know. So if you guys don't have any questions, you feel free to jump out of this call. Again, thank you all. Thank you to Karthikeyan for making it all possible. Right. Thank you guys. Have a good day. So I will let you know. We covered only half of the session. So I will soon let you know what is the next date we can connect and have the other session. Yeah, and then feel free. So if you have any suggestions, any inputs, or any other trainings you might need, please feel free to post your feedbacks or welcome. And thanks for joining. Have a good day.
Sam, also before ending the class, please post it your email ID so that I'll any query I can direct to the justification and further training as well. Is it possible to text your email ID?
Okay. Okay.
So,
yeah. Okay.
If anything requires legal training or certification, I can directly reach to you.
So this is my WhatsApp number and Telegram number. I'm also available in all the Telegram channels and WhatsApp channels.
So I'm too much interested of Jan enrollment application as well for 200. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, sir. Yeah.
Thank you guys. So if anyone have any questions, I'll be available in this call till 13:110. So you can let me know.
Shyam, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, Shyam, do we have any options, to bring the default OS for M1, M2 chips? Because for Intel chip, we have a shortcut key, right? For M1 chip, we do have any options such that.
Can you please come again?
No,
Default.
for example, say M1, I upgraded to the Sonoma. Like if I just want to downgrade back, what are the options available? Like it's a common question, like not into the picture.
Okay, I got it. So in the Intel machine, you can boot into Internet Recovery, and then you will get
options.
what
there is options to
what
Internet
OS
recovery.
it is come with the OS by default. Suppose you, okay, if I'm not wrong, I got a question. I'll just explain you. Suppose you got a machine with something with Lion, and then you upgraded new versions, and then you want to reinstall the OS. You will get only the latest version currently available in the market. But if you want to install Lion, I can go to Internet Recovery and then I can install Lion.
Correct. Yes.
That's what you're asking, right? That's the same thing how you do it in the M1 machine.
Correct.
Okay. I need to check, but currently I don't have answer. RAM key, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I will check this, and then I will post it in the Telegram channel. So you are in the India MacAdmins Telegram channel, or which MacAdmins?
Yeah, was there. Yeah.
Okay. So I will give me some time. I will check it. I will go through it, and then once I get the answer, I will post it in the channel.
Okay, sure. But even I have searched something. Even I asked many people, but that option is not available for M series devices, Apple Silicon chip.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let me
so because
check.
in our organization, I'm facing this issue because we were still supporting, Ventura. So Sonam is still under validation process. We haven't launched to the end user. The thing is, many users are buying a new device is automatically upgraded to the newer version.
See, you need to understand. Suppose if the Mac OS comes with Sonoma, when you're procuring it, you cannot downgrade to Ventura.
That's fine. But I'm talking about the older device, M series, M1.
Yeah.
Those devices are coming with the Monterey.
I got it. But you understand if when the Mac OS is coming out of the factory, if it comes with Sonoma pre-installed it, you cannot downgrade. But if it is
that I have
installed with Monterey and you upgrade to Sonoma now and you want to install Monterey again, I'll check what is the option we have.
This thing I want to know. Yes, correct.
Sure. Yeah. I will check and let you know.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.